Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs. I've selected if error. As the spring quarter is about to start, this talisman, Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs, and also this ring that I found. Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs, and this triple ring here. Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs, and with silver, but we got Epitote, our Unikite. You have inclusions of quartz, of pink orthoclase, and that's about it there. Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs. So to ask you the solar question related to the day of the standard month, what's your pursuit of knowledge? Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs. And relating to the lunar question, we have what sort of poetry or prose invigorates soul? Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs. And the cross quarter is February 3rd, 2:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs. And the nearest sunset to the cross quarters, the equinoxes, the solstices, is that which starts the seasonal point in most traditions. Lux, Yil, Rn Zgs, Lzwvmmh, Zgs. And I guess I typed that wrong. I was thinking of a different time zone. It's 6:40 a.m. on February 3rd, which is pretty early, right? So let's look at the poems that we see here. Be the flower of light, love, and life. Fear gives in to hope. The door opens for the blossoms to dive our sword through the birth of truth. We give birth to the word. Twilight connects to the causal. A daughter pays attention, and a son must question, arise and move from hibernation. Or migration. And so before we get into the verses, we do see that symbol there, which it relates there. Some people are saying it's like something related to some sort of predatory thing. I mean, there's symbols that don't really look like this at all. So any of the elements, but together, I have not seen these two things put together. So put your conspiracy theories aside. That has nothing to do with what we're doing. It's the subject. It represents the subject that we're looking at. Speak not of desire, but of what is. I connect when others have not. I offer from out of the darkness that was sought. I dedicate even in the mess. By smooth and sharp shapes we confess. My mind forms an abyss. Almost black purples and blues have not missed. What is brought forth will not be dismissed. Our experience is put through analysis. The dark city has opened its door for congress. We invoke beyond terror, to whom is where all else find emptiness. A causal perceiver, around and through all, we merge in your purpose as we bring the all-mover to awareness. This is the mass of the colors, just beyond darkness. The most alien power ultimately devours the cosmos, practicing with other beings, becoming a transcendent chaos. An ecstatic bliss, we mystics give forth the sign of the desireless. And before we go into the before we go into the we don't see that, do we? Okay, I was going to show you the tree by daylight, but I have decorated the tree. There's a little piggy, little fabric, little piggy stuffed thing that I have to perhaps burn or something. And that is more or less what we're looking at there. And so what the symbolism of the knots and the different candles that I use, like to use the number 9 sometimes, 8 for the seasonals in particular. So the first verse that we have here, I'm going to translate. I'm not going to go into the Arabic or the Aramea or the Greek or of any of these. No mortal eyes can see him, though he sees all eyes. He is benignant and all-knowing. The essence that is never changing yet, the same. We perceive and connect to God in a different way, right? So we have, that was 603. And what we see next is 101, 9 through 11. And But he whose scales are light, the abyss shall be his home. Would that you knew what this is like. It is a scorching fire. It's interesting, the comparison to the mother there, saying that that's how close a person is going to be, the people of hell are going to be to a different sort of abyss. At least in the Quranic reference, it's a different sort of abyss. And Surah 112, so 1 through 3 and 4 only, though. He begot none, nor was he begotten. None is equal to him. Well, none is like him in anything is really what we're seeing here. So the importance here is to respond to these sorts of things in the way that fits your own personal beliefs. Luke 8:31. The last from the Quran, I mentioned that thing where basically that's just how alien real divinity is. So Luke 8:31. And he besought him that he would not command them into the abyss to go away. Now, those who aren't ready for the abyss is one way that this has been interpreted. It's also that these abyssal entities, as they would be called, want their own position. So putting them back into the hive, you could say, is not really what they'd want. And I guess that's a little bit of a blur here, so I'm going to pause for. Romans 10:7 says something like, or who shall descend into the abyss, that is, Christ, from among the dead to bring up. So I'm going to respond to the actual meaning of some of these things more. And leave how you're personally going to respond to the meaning here. So I don't know what my experience and response is going to be in the middle of the ritual, but Revelation 20:13, and gave up the sea, that in it dead and death and hell gave up, that in them that were dead, and they were judged according to their works. And so we go over here. Over to Revelation 17:8. Beast, which thou sawest, was and is not, and is about to come out of the abyss, and into destruction to go, and shall wonder they who dwell on the earth, of whom are not written the names in the book of life from the foundation of the world, seeing the beast which was, and is not, and yet is. Revelation 9:11. And they have over them a king, the angel of the abyss, his name in Hebrew, Abaddon, And in the Greek, the name he has is Apollonian. 11:17, saying, we give thanks to thee, Lord, O God, O Almighty, who is, and who was, and who is coming, that thou hast taken power, that is thy greatness, and reigned. 13:3, and I saw one of the heads of it as slain to death, and the wound of death of it was healed, and there was wonder in the whole earth after the beast. And then I just go 17:8, and so 23 and 9. What do 3 and 9 of 20 say? And they went up upon the breadth of the earth and encircled the camp of the saints and the city beloved, and came fire from God out of the heaven and devoured them. And 3. Oh, no, it's 2 we're looking at. And he laid hold of the dragon, the serpent, ancient, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Okay. So we move on here to what would be called the Old Testament, although that's not quite the appropriate translation. Genesis 1:2. The earth being unformed and void with darkness over the surface of the deep, and a wind from God sweeping over water. I think that says Amos 7:4. This is what God is noun and verb. The leader of the community showed me, lo, Lord, God is a noun and verb, was summoning to contend by fire, which consumed the great deep and was consuming the fields. Isaiah 44:7. And okay, I guess that's who's like me that can announce, that can foretell it and match me thereby. Even as I told the future to an ancient people, so let him foretell coming events to him. We move on to Job. 36:10. He opens their understanding by discipline and orders them back from mischief. Doesn't quite sound like our subject, but it relates if you look at the language, the older version. Oh, I didn't mean for the dead time. Sorry about that. 41:22. His underpart is jagged shards. It spreads a threshing sled on the mud. And then we go on to Psalms. Psalms 71:20. You who have made me undergo many troubles and misfortunes will receive me again and raise me up from the depths of the earth. 42:7. My God, my soul is downcast, therefore I think of you in this land of Jordan and Chirmun in Mount Matzar. 77:16. By your arm you redeemed your people, the children of Yaqub and Yusuf. Make contact. 78:15. He split rocks in the wilderness and gave them drink if from the great deep. 106:9. He sent his blast against the sea of reeds. It became dry. He led them through the deep as through a wilderness. And that looks like about it with the verses that we're going to employ. So whatever context and all that you personally want to employ with these, well, that's your choice. And purple candles, flowers, or stuff that would be purplish, or even brown might be something to connect to. We're not saying we don't have desire in the earlier poem. We're saying that we have, it goes beyond that. So Mux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz Lux Yul Run Zgs Galah Gsz Merb Coffin Zuz.